Welcome back, everyone, of a Miami Dolphins franchise here on Madden NFL 19. We have the fourth and final prospect profile here for season number 1, where we will be looking at running backs and wide receivers. The Dolphins have a lot of young talent at these positions, but the offense was so bad this year that they absolutely have to look into drafting a few. We're going to look at 3 sophomore running backs first, players who won't be in this year's draft, but will be in next year's draft, the 2020 draft, starting with Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin. Taylor can transform Wisconsin's offense, and he can be the most electrifying player in all of college football, and I think he has a really good chance to do that in the NFL. He's going to be a Heisman favorite next season, and I wouldn't be shocked if he's a top 5 or top 10 pick. He reminds me, maybe not in a pro comparison, but Monte Ball, both went to Wisconsin. Monte Ball is one of the greatest college football running backs of all time. But I expect Jonathan Taylor to have a very different pro career from Monte Ball, as he was a second-round pick by the Broncos, never really panned into anything. And I expect Jonathan Taylor to be a superstar, maybe the best running back in the NFL at one point in his career. The next guy we're going to be looking at is J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State. Dobbins and Mike Weber have formed a really nice backfield, one of the best 1-2 punches in all of college football. But Mike Weber will be drafted this year in 2019. So J.K. Dobbins will have most of the backfield to himself next season, and I'm very curious to see what he can do. Probably not as high on the Heisman conversation as Jonathan Taylor, but he's absolutely someone who is going to be thought about very early on as a potential Heisman favorite. The last sophomore running back we have here is the biggest boom or bust of the 3, and that is Najee Harris from Alabama. Like J.K. Dobbins, Harris is in a bit of a crowded backfield as Damian Harris has gotten a lot of carries too. He will also be drafted this season. He's going to be like a mid-second rounder. So sort of like Dobbins, Najee Harris should have most of the backfield to himself next season. I would not be surprised if Harris exploded. I think if he does, he has a decent chance to be the number 1 overall pick. I think he's that talented. And a team like the Dolphins could really look at him and see if he transforms this offense, if he becomes, maybe has one of the greatest college football seasons of all time. I think the Dolphins could absolutely consider him at number 1 if they get that pick next year, which we'll see. Who knows? The next guy we're going to be looking at is Myles Gaskin. He's going to be drafted this season, so not next season like the other guys we showed. Gaskin is a projected late 7th rounder, so the Dolphins should be able to scoop him up pretty much whenever they want. But this could be a really nice value pick. He's a phenomenal elusive runner. He does need to work on trucking and strength. He's not the biggest guy, only 5'10", 182 pounds. But he has good carrying. He doesn't fumble it too much. He also has good vision, good patience, and I think he could be really solid backup or change of pace running back in this league. The last running back we're going to be looking at today is Westlake's very own Malik Bostic. He made this Westlake offense into what it is. He led them to the Mountain West Conference Championship, and without him, Westlake would not have been any good. He had about 1,400 rushing yards this past season and was so huge for one of the best offenses in all of college football. He's probably not going to get picked, but I could see a team like the Dolphins seeing some nice value in round 7, and maybe they scoop him up to join Kenyon Drake and Kalen Ballage in their backfield. Now we're going to be looking at wide receivers, starting with Ole Miss's A.J. Brown. Brown is a projected top 5 pick in this year's draft, so if the Dolphins want to get him, they're going to have to use him with their early pick. Brown is a phenomenal wide receiver and one of the best I've ever seen out of college since maybe A.J. Green or Julio Jones. He's that good. He is a phenomenal deep threat. He has the height, weight, speed. He also has good hands. He doesn't drop passes too often. He's a phenomenal route runner. He is just the complete package and gives you everything you want in a wide receiver. So it makes sense that he's probably going to be picked in the top 3 or 5. The next guy we're going to be looking at is N'Keal Harry from Arizona State. Harry's a projected late 2nd round pick. I think that's very nice value. I think he's late 1st, early 2nd round value. And if the Dolphins see him in maybe the middle of the 2nd round, as they do have 2 2nd rounders this year, I could see them maybe scooping up Harry, joining Devontae Parker, Kenny Stills, and Danny Amendola on a very talented receiving core. N'Keal Harry is only 21 years old. He is a pretty solid route runner that could have some improvement, but he has phenomenal hands and will be really good in this league. Next up, we will look at a sophomore from Alabama. He's not going to be in this year's draft. He will be in next year's, and that is Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy and DK Metcalf from Ole Miss are probably going to be competing for the number 1 receiver picked next season. But at this point, I think Jeudy has a slight edge over Metcalf, but Metcalf is a player we will look at next year. Jerry Jeudy has been Alabama's best receiver this season, with Calvin Ridley, of course, now in the NFL on the Atlanta Falcons, and I could see him in a top 10 pick in 2020 in a loaded offensive class with players like Tagovailoa, Jake Fromm, and the 3 running backs we mentioned earlier in this video. I think Jerry Jeudy could be a star in this league. The next guy we're going to be looking at is Drake Davis from LSU. Davis is a very talented player, maybe late second, early third round talent, but he has some off-the-field issues, pushing him down to the middle of the 4th round. He has very nice hands, and he's also a pretty decent route runner. He could maybe work on his athletic traits. Well, maybe he couldn't work on them. You can't really work on athleticism. I think that's another small issue in his game. He stands at 6'4", so he has the height. He can get up there. He can make big plays. He was very solid this year at LSU. But the off-field stuff, I think, is a huge red flag. The last guy we're going to be looking at today is Anthony Johnson from the University of Buffalo. Johnson is a projected 4th round pick and could be a huge steal for someone who takes him. I think he's probably 2nd round talent. He's really darn good. He has phenomenal hands. He can get off of defenders. His route running could use some work, but he does need to work maybe, I would say, stretching the field out a little bit, but he's phenomenal in the red zone. He's a big physical player. In one-on-one jump ball situations, it's usually him who's coming down with it, and I think he could be very beneficial for the Dolphins in the red zone, or really anywhere on the field. So that's going to end this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.